Yo, hello, love wrestling. Happy Tuesday morning, February 4th, 2025. What is going on, everybody? Yes, I have returned. First and foremost, before we dive into everything, I want to thank Dan Brown for taking over for me last Thursday. I was able to pop in for a few times as I was traveling on the day. Seemed like you guys had a fun show on Thursday, and Dan was more than great and filling in and being the guest host with you. So I want to thank him for helping us out and helping me out and filling in for me last Thursday when I was traveling along to Indianapolis for the Rumble. So I wanted to get that out of the way at the top. But yes, I am back. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be here with Drew talking some WWE today, but just kind of getting back in the swing of things. Yeah, so it was a fun weekend. I'm sure we'll dive into a little bit of it, but first and foremost, before we start diving into a little bit of it, Drew, how are we doing this morning, man?
Doing good. Good. You may notice I'm wearing glasses today.
Listen, as a glasses wearer, I like it. I like it. You know,
beards and glasses.
Yeah, you know,
we can be between two glasses.
There we go. If we needed to, if we ever needed to pivot, we have options. We have options.
Yeah, my eyes have been bothering me lately, so I was like, hey, these aren't prescription. They're actually like for screens, like the blue light glasses, I think they're called.
Yeah.
So my eyes, I woke up 3 hours ago and I felt like I woke up 5 minutes ago.
It's fair.
So
it's fair.
I was like, okay, let me wear these. I don't wear them on camera very often. If you can tell, it's because of this exact reason.
The glare? Yeah, you get used to it after a while. It used to mess with me a lot. I'd be like, God, I can see you still can. I can see my lights and stuff like that. But you kind of get used to it for a while, after a while. But yeah.
I again thank Dan Brown very much for filling in for you on Firmly WWE last week. That was very fun. And it was cathartic in a way. You know, with the week prior, you were joined by Chris Mueller.
Yeah,
who I thank very much for filling in for me.
Yeah.
And then the week prior, you got me to blow up pretty much at the end of that show after giving me crap about being negative.
Well, first of all, I was just ragging. I get negative too. I wasn't giving you. I was ragging on you because you rarely, up until that point, you usually don't. You're usually the more, you know. But yeah, that's true. So last week was good. Good. Now, how was it? Because I know Dan watches AEW, but I know he's not like he hasn't always been like a pro. He's very critical of AEW.
He was very critical.
Yeah, he was very critical of AEW. Yeah. So and again, we get critical here too. It's not like we're all, lollipops.
We're going to get critical today. So yeah.
Oh, are we really?
We are about some things. Oh, not a lot, but
okay. I was going to say, I thought WWE had a hell of a weekend. But all right, that's fair. I'm ready to get into it. So,
but I'm not that I, let me pull back the curtain a little bit. It's not that I.
Oh, we got Big Ben. We got Big Ben Ortman's in the chat. Had a great match with MRB at last Friday's LPW show 33. I was able to watch that while I was waiting for my flight on Sunday afternoon because Friday night I was a little busy in Indianapolis, so I didn't get to watch LPW 33 live. But I was able to hop on the IWTV and check out some stuff. Ben killed it. Ben killed it per usual. I was expecting it, but Ben
So
killed it.
before I go into what I was just about to say, for anybody in the chat today, I did something to my computer and I was logged out of StreamYard, so I cannot see the chat right now. So if you're addressing me, I apologize. JPJ will have to let me know because I can't see the chat. I am not a fake person on here. I don't come on here and pretend to be someone that I'm not. I don't come on here and pretend to, I'm not like one of those, and then not all of them are like this, but I'm not one of those, people that they show on these shows of, kind of overreacting and being a little bit performative in their reactions to things.
Oh yeah, of course.
They know that they're going to get on TV. I'm a very real person when I come on here. As a result of being real, I like not being negative. That's me. I don't like being negative.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I have a negative opinion, I've chosen to not share that negative opinion.
No, you have to. You have to share all your opinions.
Because I think about what other people think about me, and I don't want to be equated to a tribalist, because that is something that I am very much against. I have railed against tribalism.
Yeah, but being negative about something is not being tribalist.
So I know that being negative is not being tribalistic, but I know that some people take it that way. So if I'm negative about WWE, and then they see me on an AEW show, or they see me tweeting about AEW, they go, "Oh, well, listen, I have we have friends in many places that Fightful, here on Love Wrestling, Body Slam, which you'll be talking about, doing, reporting and talking about things. And one day they talk about WWE positively and they're called a WWE shill. The next day they'll talk about AEW positively and they're called an AEW.
Yeah, but you can't base your opinions on that type of crap.
No, I'm not. It's not that I'm basing my opinions on it. It's that I'm choosing what to say based. I'm not. My opinions are not different. I just don't say them. However, I have decided, and I've started doing this at my shoot job too, to just be a little bit more real, a little bit more open with my true opinion about something. And it worked out pretty well yesterday for me at the shoot job. So I've decided, you know what? I'm going to do that here too.
Yeah.
So
as it should. As it should.
He's not going to be the only negative one anymore.
First of all, I'm not negative. Do you think I'm negative?
Okay, I won't say that. That's the wrong.
I'm critical when things are bullshit.
You're not going to be on the critical one anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
When there's some BS, some bullshit going on, I call it out. You call me, nobody calls me anything because I don't think
negative is the wrong word. I didn't need to use that word.
No, I'm fine. And again, I'm from Boston. I think people just inherently think we're negative, and you're from New York. So I feel like people just inherently think the Northeast are like miserable, negative people, which is not true.
Around this time, yeah, we're kind of miserable.
Yeah, it's winter, it's cold. I flew into a snowstorm. On Sunday. I had to drive home an hour. There you go, Corey. JPJ, and the P stands for positive. Yeah, okay. Maybe. You never know. But
who was that? Was that Corey Hayes?
No, Corey Michaels, the great writer.
Oh, Corey Michaels.
Great writer. Go look his stuff up. He has some great
I love
stuff.
Corey Michaels.
Yeah, he's terrific. Speaking of comments.
I just want you to know, Corey, I hope that you get a camera at some point, because I would love for you to join either Firmly WWE or Firmly AEW one week.
Yeah,
that would be really awesome.
That'd be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Speaking of things in the chat, if you want to get your comment, your questions, your thoughts on the screen, please send a super chat. All super chats, obviously within reason. Don't say anything inappropriate or anything, that won't get on the screen. But if you want your comment, your question, or you just want us to talk about a certain topic, please send a super chat. We'll show it on the screen. We'll kind of, direct the show in that direction. We want, we always incorporate the chat anyway, but if you want to make sure or guarantee we talk about something, please look into sending a super chat. Not only will it get your comment on the screen, but it also helps us out here being able to continue to do that, to do these things weekly and all the great shows we have. And it helps the staff out here at Love Wrestling. Yeah.
I don't like doing show things on the air, but something is bothering me that I need to address. And you were asked to do this thing on the bottom,
Yeah,
like this morning.
Yeah.
And I know that this was not correct because you're going to see something in a moment come up that doesn't look right at all.
Well,
it looks like we're supposed to say Wednesday right there.
Oh, yeah. Does it just stop?
It just stopped.
Oh, God. All right. Let me try to fix that.
That's
what was it too many? Hold on. Wait a minute.
Anyway, so while you fix that,
I copied and pasted the whole thing. Why didn't that? All right. Continue. You can keep chatting while I try to fix this. All I did was copy and paste it, so I don't know.
So yes, you do the show stuff and I'll do the talking. My pretty face. So, I was really, really happy this weekend. When I say that I'm going to be critical and negative, I didn't really mean that I'm going to be too critical and negative. There's something really funny that happened that I tweeted about on Saturday that I said, I know that you're going to give me crap about.
Well, I figured we'd be talking about the Rumble to start, right?
Yeah.
That would be
and you know what that is because we've talked about that already.
Sure have.
And I'm going to.
I think I fixed it. I don't know why that didn't copy and paste the proper way, but I think actually it's going to say Wednesday now. But anyway, I think we're good. All right.
So when we get into that, we'll get into that. There we go. I see it's all there now.
It's all there. I don't know what happened there, but we're good. Thanks for calling that out because I would have never looked at it or changed it at all. So,
So, you were able to go. As you talked about, you were not on Firmly AEW because you were traveling. You were down there. You did media. You saw the show live. Tell us your experience.
I mean, it was a great experience. I got in on Thursday, got to see Pluggo. It was only the second time I've got to see Pluggo in real life ever. So that was good. Met up with some good friends. There was a lot of independent shows. I want to throw a shout out to someone called Jay Rose. They ring announcer. They do a bunch of stuff. They were really the one that spearheaded all the independent wrestling stuff that was happening in Indianapolis that weekend. So, we were staying in an area of the town called Fountain Square, and that's where all the independent stuff was happening. So GCW and all the independent shows that were happening all weekend were happening like 5 minutes from where our Airbnb was. So we were kind of lucky to have it right there. So like we got in on Thursday, we met up with a few friends, we had some dinner, and then Thursday night was a wrestling show, and it was an independent wrestling show. It was all Indianapolis natives. They had a gauntlet match at that show on Thursday, Drew, where whenever there was a new competitor, there was a new stipulation. That was the gauntlet match. And the gauntlet match lasted an hour.
Oh my goodness.
And there were like 15 competitors, and there were legitimate, there was a, hey, it's Royal Rumble weekend. You got to throw your opponent over the top rope to win this one. Like they did that. They had they got a little nutty. They had an arm wrestling match one. They had one where the ropes were lava, so you couldn't touch the ropes. And the first person to touch they had one where the mat was lava, so they only could wrestle on the ropes. It was nutty. But it was awesome and it was fun. It was one of those like independent shows you go to and you're like, yeah, these are like really, and they were like real wrestlers. Like it wasn't like, they were like top quality independent wrestlers taking part in this as well. So it was like, yeah, and it was very good. And then we got to see some great, Cole Radrick was there, Calvin Tankman, Myron Reed. There were some legitimate top independent wrestlers that were there. So we did that. Friday was the busiest day. Woke up. There was the community event in the morning. Then we had our junket. We got interviews with Penta, Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax. The Penta one is already out there on YouTube. Go check that out on Love Wrestling. Tiffany and Nia will be released this week, the full interviews. And then we got some scrum stuff with Chelsea Green, Dominic Mysterio, Carmelo Hayes. So that was a really good thing there. And then Friday night we did not go to SmackDown. We went to the independent shows, and Friday night was GCW. And GCW, that show was incredible.
Oh, I've never been to a GCW
show.
show.
You should go. If you have a chance. Yeah, J Rose is good. They do a lot for the Indianapolis, Indiana community, and they were really the spearhead of all the independent stuff. So they deserve their flowers. So J Rose, we're gonna try. I would love to talk to them more. But yeah, so
I haven't heard of J Rose before.
Oh, look them up.
They're behind the scenes person.
The energy. Well, they were ring announcing most of the weekend too. So not GCW, but all the other smaller shows. The energy that they had they very much impressed me all weekend. So yeah, then we went to GCW. That was a great show. We had the privilege of something will be coming out in a week or so ago, but we got to talk to the GCW World Champion Effie. Pluggo and I, we got a little scoop interview with Effie that will be releasing sometime in the next week or so here. So spoiler alert. Yeah, so we got to do that. I don't know if you saw on the interwebs the stuff that went down after the GCW show with like the fight and all stuff like that. But there was a
Joey
Janela thing. I was like 4 feet away from that when it happened.
Really?
Yeah, wow. I was right there. I got away from there quickly. But I was right there when all that went down. So that was a little nutty. And then Saturday was the Rumble, man. Man. And the Rumble was amazing. We got to go to the press conference after. I love John Cena. But so with the press conference, Pluggo, our boy Pluggo, got to ask Charlotte a question at the press conference.
I heard.
Super proud of him. He crushed it. He crushed it all weekend. 10 minutes. I fucking love that guy, Pluggo. But he crushed it all weekend. So what happened was, I'm sitting there in the press conference. I get a text message from one of the PR guys. He goes, "Hey, you want to ask a question tonight?" And I go, "Oh my God." So I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Oh shit." I'm like, "Yeah, of course I do." But I'm like, "Oh God, it's only my second press conference." And the first time, nobody texted me shit. I just sat there quietly. I raised my hand, but nobody picked me. But I didn't know they text you like that. I just assume you raise your hand and they, whatever.
Yeah.
But one of them texts me like before the thing even starts. He goes, "You want some questions tonight?" And I go, "Yeah, of course I do. You kidding me?" And he goes, "All right." He goes, "Who do you want?" And they told us who we were getting. And I go, "I got a question for Cena." And he goes, "All right, I got you." And I'm like, "Okay." So he tells me, "Yeah, I got you. You'll go for Cena." I'm like, "Oh shit, here we go." And then all of a sudden, Charlotte's the first one. And he goes, "You got anything for Flair?" And I was like, "Yeah." And Pluggo was like, "Yeah, I got something for Flair." So he comes over and I go, "Yeah, I go, and I point. So I go, "Pluggo has it for Charlotte." So then Pluggo asks the question for Charlotte, crushes it. Then Jey Uso comes out. The guy asked me again if I have one for Jey. I said, "Yeah, I got one for Jey." But he had to go through other people. And then Cena comes out and Cena doesn't take any questions, right, and he does the thing. And then I didn't get to ask a question. So in hindsight, I'm never giving a question to Pluggo ever again. So I should have just taken the question for myself and done it. I was trying to be nice. I was being nice and a team player. I was like, "Oh, we're both going to get a question? It's fucking rules, man." And then no, I got nothing. But either way, it was awesome. It was just a great experience. And then Sunday, my flight wasn't until late. So Sunday, we just kind of hung around all day and got out of there. But the Rumble was great. And we're going to talk about the actual Rumble. I thought the Rumble was a overwhelming success on all fronts. There were a ton of people in that building. 70,000+ people were there. And that is incredible. Scott, I wouldn't call it a heel promo that Cena did, but there was definitely a different side of Cena. It was some entitlement. There was some entitlement in that.
It wasn't a heel. I was gonna say it wasn't a heel promo. It was more of like an assertive.
Yes.
I'm just doing what I want to do. Promo.
Exactly. Like, hey, I was the company guy for 20 years, but guess what? It's my last year. I deserve these things, and the company is better if I get these things. So, so I don't mind them leaning into that though, because I think they should have Cena lose a little bit here and like him continue to kind of go down this doubt and this. We never seen John Cena doubt himself really in his whole career. He's never been really
Except
that guy.
2012.
Yeah, like when he lost to The Rock, maybe there was a little bit of doubt there, like that little stretch of things. But like he's never really been a guy that has like been that way. He's always been the I'm gonna work and whatever. And now it's just like, no, I'm taking this. Like I already have earned this type of stuff. But yeah, no, the whole experience is great. We've got to see a lot of good friends. We got to meet up with SRS. Our pal Emily May was basically she's become our mom at these. Like we always hang out with her all weekend. She kind of is like, "Hey, we're gonna go here. We're gonna go." And we're like, "Okay," and she like gets us into things and all this stuff. So she's been a real pal there. We got to see a bunch of people: Graham Matthews, Riccacino, a bunch of media friends that we. So it was a good weekend. It was a good weekend. I want to thank WWE for the opportunity and the access. Yeah, and it's just. I don't know. It's kind of like it's one of those things where like you're talking to WWE PR people and they're like complimenting you and it's weird. It's weird. It's nice. And then you're like, oh man, like we're doing really well. But it's just weird, I don't know. I will tell you one thing though. Nia Jax, incredible. I could have talked to that woman for an hour. For an hour, I could have talked to that woman.
Yeah, I've seen interviews with her and she just seems so down to earth.
She just gets it. She gets it
immediately. She did an interview
with
Josh Robinson, I believe.
Yeah, and Josh said the same thing to me when it happened. He was like, Nia Jax blew my mind. He was like, Nia Jax. He goes, everybody was great that I talked to, but Nia Jax, I felt like was like, holy crap, like we were friends. Like that's how he felt with her. And then when we got to do it, yeah, all the interviews were great. Penta was amazing. Tiffany was great.
I loved your chicken nuggies picture with Dominic Mysterio.
Oh yeah,
that was very funny.
Yeah, he called me Big Man. I was like, all right. I was like, I'll let that slide. But we're not friends, buddy. But I'll let that slide. No, I'm kidding. He was getting ready. We did like scrum stuff, and he was getting ready to leave. And I looked at him, and I had my phone. He was like, "You want a selfie?" I was like, "Kinda, yeah." And he was like, "Yeah, come on." He was like, "Come on, Big Man, come over here." And then he did that, and I was like, all right, cool. And then, but I was right there when they did the confrontation with him and Penta, when he had to knock off his hat or whatever.
We were in
the middle of it all.
Confrontation.
We were, because we were right there when Nia Jax and Tiffany walked by Nia Jax, and they chucked each other the finger, which was played into our interviews. I was there for the Joey Janela GCWs. Yeah, it was pretty wild. No, but it was a good weekend.
Eventful.
It goes by quick because there's a lot of stuff to do, but yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. They're always a good time, and it makes you want to like do it all the time. That's the problem. It's like you get a taste of that stuff, and you're like, ooh, you're like, all right, how do I get to do this all the time?
So you'd be going to France, and
I mean, my bank account won't allow me to go to France probably, but maybe if I could, that'd be nice. But no, it was a great weekend again. I very much am grateful for these opportunities I get to go do that stuff because I know not everybody gets to do it. But it's a lot of fun, man. WWE take care of you. They take care of you. They treat you well. The PR guys, Greg and they're just great guys. They make sure they come over. They say hi. They remember you. You know how many people they probably deal with all the time? I haven't seen them since August. For them to come over and like remember my name and like remember stuff that happened in August and like have real conversation. Like they don't have to do that.
It's very nice.
You know what I mean? It's just like that extra little thing there. So yeah, but it was a success to everyone involved. It was a great time. I can't wait to do it again whenever that may be. Mania, maybe. SummerSlam's in New York, so that's probably the hope. That's not far for me. So SummerSlam would be a general hope because it's so close. But yeah, hopefully I get to do it again soon because it was a lot of fun. But Spencer and Zach will be representing us here at Love Wrestling at Elimination Chamber in Toronto. So they'll be representing the Love Wrestling there at the beginning of March. So they'll kill it like they always do. And then yeah, hopefully I'll get another opportunity down the line because it is a real good time. It's a real good time.
Yeah.
But you know what else I thought was a real good time, Drew? Was the Royal Rumble. It was good. 4 matches. started with the Women's Rumble. It was good because I felt like both Rumbles were different. I felt like the Women's Rumble was more based on like surprises, returns, and moments, whereas the Men's Rumble was based on storylines. Now, obviously, there were storylines in the Women's Rumble that came out of it too, but I feel they weren't the only surprise in the Men's Rumble was Joe Hendry. That was it. There were no return, no
Styles.
Well, yes, but I mean, he's like, I meant like legend, NXT, somebody that's not on the regular. You know what I mean? I felt like there were no legends, there were no NXT, there was no like long-term returns. I mean, AJ had been out for a while, but whereas on the women's side, we got the 5 NXT girls that showed up, including Roxanne Perez, who had the performance of a lifetime, 1 hour and 7 minutes. She was in that Rumble, broke the record, ended up being in the final 2 with the winner that we'll talk about in a second here. And then we had Lash Legend, we had Julia, we had Stephanie Verker, we had Jada Parker, which was a nice surprise. The NXT girls really showed out. And then you had the returns, Alexa Bliss, the largest pop of the night, the biggest pop of the night out of anybody. Incredible. Alexa Bliss coming back, incredible. And then you had, obviously, we knew Charlotte was coming back. So you had that. And then Trish Stratus makes her 25th anniversary. Sounds like she's going to be around for a little bit. Jordan Grace officially came, 2nd year in a row, but now officially as a member of the WWE family. And then you had Nikki Bella at 30 coming back, which was cool. And it sounds like she's going to be around a little bit, which is cool. I think at first, I think a lot of people were expecting Becky. Becky at 30.
I would say a lot. I'm one of them.
Yeah, and in the press box, the majority of us were expecting Becky as well. And so I think when 30, the buzzer went off for 30, and it wasn't Becky, I thought there was like a little bit of like, oh damn, no Becky. But then then Nikki Bella kind of got the love that she deserved to get, and like I thought her pop was really good too, and the moments they had with her in the Rumble.
I'm surprised now that she was, because now I'm wondering what's going on with Becky.
Yeah, because there was
decided that she wants to stay home more.
Yeah, no Becky was the biggest shock, but I think a lot of people were expecting Jade Cargill as well to be in this Rumble. I think
some people were thinking maybe AJ Lee was finally going to come back.
I did that to myself last year, so I made sure that I was like, that would be great, but I'm not getting my hopes up on that front. I think a lot of people were expecting Asuka maybe as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did read that, Sandy, that Shotzi was the one that was replaced by Alexa Bliss because, again, you can read a lot of things. We don't know what is truly true and what isn't and stuff, but according to most people, they said that the Alexa Bliss stuff came together very late. And that's, because we had those rumors saying that there was a contract dispute and all that stuff, but things of that nature. But the Women's Rumble was won by the 27th entrant, the returning Charlotte Flair. Should have been to the shock of no one.
It wasn't to the shock of anyone.
And it was the right decision. But listen, Tom Brady wants to come play quarterback for your team. Doesn't matter who's been starting for you. You pick him, Tom Brady. Sorry, it is what it is. Babe Ruth comes back and wants to play baseball. You're signing Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth's going to be a cleanup hitter. Sorry, thanks for filling in for the last year, but Babe Ruth's back. See you later.
Yeah,
your ass is on the bench.
I wouldn't expect a skeleton to come back to
well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. It's that level. Now, again, I picked Iyo Sky to win the Rumble. I wanted Iyo Sky to win the Rumble, and we'll dive into that because they did some fun stuff on Raw. But yeah, of course I would, Eric. It's not even close. Kidding me? Do I take Brady over Mahomes? One of them has 7 championships. One of them has 3. I think I'm taking the guy with 7. Yeah, not even close. So yeah, I mean, Charlotte, and I get it. A lot of people are unhappy. Charlotte always wins. Oh, she comes back and always wins. Yeah, because she's Charlotte Flair. That's why. She always comes back and wins.
Here's my take on this. Okay. This is what I said that JPJ was going to give me shit over. Because I have in the past. I believe my almost exact words were that this division did not need Charlotte Flair at the moment. Um, I still feel that way, unfortunately, and it's because she doesn't do anything for me. I'm
Okay.
just not
I mean,
I'm not inspired by Charlotte Flair,
all right.
which ironically, I think she even used that word in her promo last night. Um, I'm not inspired by Charlotte Flair. She doesn't do it for me. And and I'm not saying that she's not a good wrestler.
Oh, she's a great wrestler.
I'm just saying that it listen, we're gonna jump around a little bit because things pertaining to the Rumble happen, and vice versa, Raw last night. Um, if anyone is surprised that she got booed last night, there's something wrong with you.
No, I think that promo last night was very much done on purpose. Where she came out and they knew the reaction. They saw people on the internet losing their minds, and they knew the reaction she was going to get. And at first I was like, "Oh, are they really going to try to make her a babyface through this?" But then she kind of leaned into it. She
There
was
was a
like, "Boo me
very
now," and she kind of did all that
there
stuff,
was
and
a
I was like,
very
"Here we go."
mixed reaction online about it of like, oh, people were like being negative about her getting booed because it felt like she was being. I will say she was, for the first time I think in a while, I felt genuine.
She was being genuine. She got emotional at the press conference. Which
She did,
was,
yes.
uh,
I, she I have always found her to just be a little, and I mean, look who her father is, so I'm not surprised, cocky and arrogant.
of course.
Um, but she's just not ever really been. And yeah, of course, there is that like Vince McMahon stink of Charlotte gets thrown into everything, especially like the main event of Mania 35 that was supposed to just be
Mhm.
Ronda and Becky, and
Yep.
all of a sudden here comes Charlotte. But the match ended up being a good match.
Mhm.
But she doesn't do it for me.
No, that's fine. I'm not. I don't think she's not my favorite. She's not my favorite by any means. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that she didn't deserve to win the Royal Rumble. She has 15-time world champion. We're talking about Cena breaking the record, that record's not going to last long. Because when all is said and done, Charlotte Flair is going to have the most world championships in the history of WWE, without question. She's like 2 away from breaking the record now. So like we talk about Cena and all this record stuff. At the end of the day,
Yeah, but
Charlotte
the
is
reason why she has that record is because her father has that record.
okay. I happen to think that is part of it, but another part of it is she's friggin' good. She's good.
Oh, now again, I am not refuting her goodness. I think she is good. But there are other people that I think are good that
I
I
agree.
also am just like, about. So there is definitely the flair factor there, meaning the last name. And also, I think a lot of people just don't find her to be a genuine person. So I liked last night's promo.
Mhm.
I thought that people that were saying, "Oh, she's being so genuine," and being negative about her getting booed. Like, come on, look, there's no way to literally. And I'll tell you, and I think I've mentioned it before, and you kind of were like giving me shit about it. Something that really bothers me about her is that she demands the ropes to be held open for her to be able
Oh, that's
to,
but no.
and
Why would
it
that?
bothers me. I
Why?
know I'm not the only one.
She's the queen.
Oh, that's bullshit.
No,
The
that is her character. What are
Yeah,
you
but
talking about?
it's if she wants to be taken as a babyface,
She's not a babyface. She's not going
she
to be a
has in the
babyface.
past wanted to
Well,
be a
yes,
babyface.
yes, yeah.
And Well, now I get, maybe we'll find out if this was the truth or not. But just, some people were saying that she wasn't trying to be a heel last night, and that was the crowd just booing her to boo her. I don't know what the truth is here, but what I know is that the reaction that she gets will really just make booking her as a babyface stupid, because she's never going to be a babyface. She doesn't act like a babyface.
Yeah,
she doesn't look like a babyface. She's not a babyface in any sense of the word.
No, I think that's very much on purpose. I mean, I think a lot of people are, and I get it. Yeah, exactly. And New Music Inferno says she's a heel. She's going to take on Tiffany. Tiffany's going to be the babyface.
Well, they got to start booking her like one.
Well, yeah, but it's her first time back. She literally just came back.
Tiffany, I'm talking about. They got to start booking Tiffany like a babyface.
But I think Charlotte is going to be the catalyst of that happening. I think they've been kind of doing the tweener thing.
Nia should have been the catalyst.
I agree. But they kind of stuck with the tweener stuff with Tiffany even after she won the belt. But I think once Charlotte picks her, which she will, I think then it's, I think we're going, by the time we get to Mania, Tiffany's a full-on face. And again, I would prefer if Charlotte put Tiffany over at WrestleMania. I would not expect that to happen. I would expect Charlotte to win the title at WrestleMania because she is Charlotte Flair. But Charlotte's going to be everywhere this week. She said she's going to be on NXT tonight to talk to Julia, which I thought is great because, Charlotte also became the first woman to win the Royal Rumble twice. And the first time that she won it, who did she challenge, Drew?
Rhea Ripley.
And where was Rhea Ripley at the time?
NXT.
Correct. And she's the only person that has ever chosen NXT. So I thought last night when she said she was going to NXT tonight to see Julia, I thought that was very fitting because Charlotte's done it before. And that made a lot of sense to me to have Charlotte show up there tonight. And then she's going to show up on Friday and she's going to choose. And I think we all are kind of leaning that she's probably going to pick Tiffany. That match kind of writes itself. And we'll kind of see where they go from there. For me, I understand. And even Peggy, our pal Peggy was like, she goes, I had no problem if Charlotte would have won the Chamber next month. I would have had no problem, but her coming back and in her first match in a year and a half, she just wins the Royal Rumble. It's like, yeah, but I understand that frustration, but isn't that the most typical Charlotte Flair thing you could do? Like that fits.
Yeah, but I think people don't like that.
Okay, but I also think people need to remember that the people in charge right now are not the people that were doing it before. And I happen to think that there's more plans behind it and more thought behind it.
The person in charge now is even more of a Ric Flair mark. Than
Rick's not around. But Rick's not around. He don't bring Rick around that often.
No,
he don't bring Rick around. Like, yes, he is a mark. Yes,
but I mean, let's call this what it is. This business is a very carny business.
Yeah,
and this is like Friends. That people say that AEW is all Friends wrestling.
I think that puts disrespect on Charlotte. So I'm not going to go that route. You could say
no. I'm not saying the same thing for Cody.
Why is Cody different then? Why is Cody?
I'm not saying this against Charlotte.
But I'm not going that route. There have been plenty of kids of wrestlers who didn't deserve spots that got spots. Charlotte is not one of those.
No, I'm not even saying that she doesn't deserve the spot, because I'm not saying that she's a bad wrestler.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it takes a long time for things that Vince did to wear off.
That's fair.
And when the current regime carries on what Vince did with certain people, it still makes some people not realize that it's not just because Vince wanted them, it's because they're actually good.
Yeah. And I get it. Like, I think, and again, not the same level at all, but I think Austin Theory has that stink. I think people don't appreciate Austin Theory as much as they should, because he has that stink, because he was involved with that guy. And I get it. It's just for me, especially when you look at the Rumble now and you see that there was no Becky. There were only 3 or 4 people realistically that were going to win that thing anyway. When you look at who was doing, I mean, she was, again, this is not saying there weren't other stars in the Rumble. She was the biggest star in the Rumble. She was the biggest star in that women's Rumble.
Well, I mean, Alexa got a bigger pop than her.
Well, that's because Alexa was a longer awaited return and more of a baby, like people like Alexa more than Charlotte because of the reasons why that we've talked about right now with Charlotte. But when you're talking about star power, no debate. Charlotte Flair was the biggest star in that women's Rumble. So I do not know why people are just having such a big problem with it at all. I don't. And I feel like this current regime has built up enough trust with the stories they've been telling over the last 3 or 4 years that I think people just need to relax. People just need to relax.
It's not even necessarily, even when Triple H took over after SummerSlam 2 years ago, I was like on the train for a little bit, but then like some of Triple H's booking decisions, Austin Theory, ironically, mentioned him being one of them when he had the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah.
Kind of made me go, okay, this is stupid. And then I stopped watching again for a little while, even though Triple H was in charge and Vince wasn't the one pulling the strings anymore. It was only until The Rock came back and did his whole final boss thing last year that I even considered watching regularly again.
Mhm.
So I'm going to be honest with you, it probably wouldn't be still a Firmly WWE if that didn't happen, because I am locked in now as a result of not Triple H booking better, but of that whole, Royal Rumble to WrestleMania Rock run.
Yeah.
And with the whole bloodline thing and everything. So, I still know rather that most likely it's going to be done better any given storyline.
Of course.
Because Triple H is in charge.
Yeah.
But I'm not exactly in a give him the benefit of the doubt situation anymore. So I'm going to see what happens with Charlotte. We're going to see who she picks. It's probably going to be Tiffany.
Mm.
And hopefully that propels Tiffany into the babyface superstar that she definitely can be and gets her out of this stupid whatever the hell they're doing with her. Because everybody wants to cheer her. When her name was mentioned last night,
yeah, there was a pop. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I think Charlotte is, I just think it's going to be, yeah. And we saw Rhea Ripley come out last night during the promo as well, because they have a history. They've already fought twice at WrestleMania. When Charlotte did win the Royal Rumble before, she challenged Rhea Ripley when she was on NXT. Now, that was the pandemic WrestleMania, but that match was excellent. And then a couple years ago, they had one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time a couple years ago, in which Rhea got her win back and had her moment. So what I did like, and we'll talk about the other Rumble, is both winners of the Royal Rumble, they have stories with whoever they pick. There's stories on each side. There are stories built in that they could literally pick either one of the champions, and there's stories for both of them on either side, which I think is very good. That's usually not the case. Even though we kind of know where they're probably going for their picks, that is kind of cool how there are options like that. But we saw Rhea come out. Rhea was like, hey, I want you to pick me. And Charlotte called her a kid. She was like, oh, you're just a kid. You're still just a kid. You don't get it, do you? And Rhea was like, okay. She was like, you call me a kid? She goes, please pick me, because I'll show you real quick at WrestleMania that I'm not a kid. So I thought they leaned into that pretty well with the history with her and Rhea. They definitely could finish the trilogy if they went that way. We'll see what happens with her and Julia tonight. I think that'll be more of a cool visual more than anything. I don't expect much to come out of that, but Julia in the ring with Charlotte in the ring, I think that visual and that kind of tease for the future, I think will be a good spot there. And then Friday night, seeing her in the ring with Tiffany, that'll be really fun. I think the crowd will be very polarizing.
I am anticipating that.
Yeah, I think the crowd will be very polarizing and basically all pro Tiffany in that moment. But I think that's going to be a very special thing on Friday when they get to that face-to-face there. We also had the 2 out of 3 falls match for the tag teams. I loved this match. I thought this match was great. DIY got the first fall real quick. And then it kind of built up. The second fall of that match was excellent with Motor City Machine Guns getting it back. And then we kind of saw a good, now they've been doing this on SmackDown with all these tag teams, and they've been kind of lumping in Pretty Deadly and Los Garzas, and the Street Profits had been attacked a little bit ago, and we hadn't seen them since. Dawkins was hurt, and he was on crutches all day in the back. He came down, he had the crutches with him.
I read that he was fooling people.
Yeah, he was walking around on crutches all weekend and earlier in the day and all that stuff. And they come out and they attack Motor City Machine Guns, and it helps DIY win.
Then they attack.
Well, yes, exactly.
So
they attack Motor City Machine Guns. That helps DIY get the third fall, retain their titles. And then after the match, they attack DIY. And we see the Street Profits holding up the tag titles as that match kind of ends there. The Profits kind of obvious. I don't know if it'll be heel because they attacked both the babyface and the heel, but a new attitude of sorts from the Street Profits, I think, is very necessary. I would love to see them get a tag title run with kind of a new attitude, but I really enjoyed that 2 out of 3 falls match, and I thought with the whole story of this tag team thing was kind of not based around, but the Profits getting taken out and injured by somebody that we think it's DIY, but we don't really know who it is fully yet. I think that was the catalyst of what we saw from them coming back, and I thought it was excellent.
Absolutely agree. I think that it was, at first I was like, oh my God, they turned heel. They attacked the babyfaces, but then when they attacked DIY too, I was like, oh, well, this makes sense because they don't know who attacked them. So they're just going to attack everyone. And I have no problem with that at all. I think that was actually the right thing to do.
I fully agree. And then we had this ladder match, man. These guys beat the shit out of each other in this ladder match. Some of the spots in this ladder match were gnarly. Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens. Man, what a ladder match. This was one of those matches for me. Obviously, when I say brutal, I mean brutal along the lines of WWE brutal. Obviously, I was at a GCW show the night before. What I saw there, a little different. But these guys, that Fisherman Buster that KO gave Cody off the top rope onto that ladder, holy moly, man. Holy moly. That was a great little thing. And then that Alabama slam to end it where KO was folded up like an accordion in that ladder. Whoo, boy, what a visual. What a visual. But KO, I mean, Cody Rhodes retains. I believe that Cody, again, we don't know any like full-on reports, but I think that Cody Rhodes might be legit banged up. I think there is concern that he is legitimately kind of banged up here, but I think he'll be okay. He's got a long time till Mania. He doesn't have to wrestle at the Chamber. They can kind of make sure that he's all right.
I don't think he should be wrestling until
he shouldn't. Mania. No, because and we'll get to it because we're going to talk about the men's rumble next before we kind of dive into like the big things that happened on Raw. But I love this match. I love this ladder match.
I particularly loved the usage of the mini ladder.
Yes, that popped everybody.
So funny.
Yeah,
so funny.
Yeah,
and because that's the thing about him is that he still plays into the crowd even as a heel, and he just gets it. Like his mannerisms and the way that he plays to the crowd is the best thing about him because will always be entertaining in every single thing that he does.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I love that because he is this dastardly heel now that's putting people on the shelf, but yet he's still funny. And he still does these little things that the crowd laughs, and he knows. He's to me, I'm going to be honest with you, I think Kevin Owens is like the perfect pro wrestler. I think he's the perfect pro wrestler.
I don't disagree.
He's perfect. He succeeds as a babyface. He succeeds as a heel. He's respected and loved by the crowd. He can be funny. He can be serious. He can be crazy. He can do crazy ass bumps and jump off shit. And he can do anything you want him to do. And he knocks it out of the park. And for a lot of those years, not recently, because they're doing real good stuff with him. But for a lot of those years, he was given some dog shit. And he made it work and entertaining. That guy is as good as it gets. As good as it gets. When it comes to the pro wrestling things. Sandy, I hope so. It's been long overdue since he's actually been a world champion, and he should get it this year. He should get it this year.
Another thing that didn't happen at this Rumble, no Randy Orton.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see him. I do have a question about Randy Orton. So let's get into it. Because, okay. Well, actually, because the Raw... Okay, hold on. Let's wait. But I do want to talk about Randy Orton more in a little bit. So let's talk about the men's Rumble. Okay? I thought the men's Rumble was... I thought both Rumbles were very good.
I thought that the men's Rumble was the best Rumble that Triple H had done since he became
I would agree
creative.
With that stretch where it went like Cena, Punk, Rollins... and Roman was already in the, and just at one point in the ring, it was like CM Punk, Seth Rollins, John Cena, Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles, Damian Priest, Sami Zayn. It was like 8 or 9 guys in there, and you're looking in there and you're like, these are all this is legitimately maybe the best 8 or 9 guys that have ever been in a Rumble at the same time ever. Like these guys, like it's like, holy crap, man. I'll tell you what, and Sandy just mentioned it, that spear that Braun Breaker gave that poor bastard. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. That kid's 20, by the way. You know that kid's 20? He's 20 years old.
Really?
Yes, he's a child.
Oh, I thought he was older than that.
No, he's 20. He is 20. And, you know, they do the spot where Tozawa gets hit by... I expected better from... Carmelo Hayes deserved better. I thought Carmelo was going to be the Iron Man. I'm glad it was Penta. And the starting with Ray and Penta, just...
Oh.
I wanted it to be Dom, though.
Perfect.
When Ray came out, though, I wanted number 2 to be Dom. At first, I was like, make Dom. Do it. Make it Dom. But if it wasn't going to be Dom, it had to be Penta. They went the Penta route. Excellent. That moment there with the crowd flipping out before they... That was great. I'm glad that Penta was the Iron Man. I don't want to hear both his feet. Shut up. Shit happens all the time. Go get out of here with that. I don't give a shit. All right. People mess up all the time. Don't care. Because there were people like both his feet. Just literally shut up. I do not care. Penta being the Iron Man is perfect. I loved it. I love the stuff with him and Ray. But yeah, that ISHO speed. Dude, that spear was holy moly. And then Otis just throwing him over the tape. Like, they made him earn that. They made him earn that for sure. And Triple H, even at the presser, was like, I kind of felt bad. He was like laughing. He's like, I kind of felt bad. But, you know, it is what it is. But, yeah, that was a great spot. And then, obviously, we have to talk about the stuff that happened with Rollins, Roman, and Punk. I mean, that, to me, that whole sequence there was...
Well, let's go a little bit in order. So
yeah.
So the ISHO speed thing happens, and then Joe Hendry.
Yeah, at 15, Joe Hendry came out. Great pop.
Joe Hendry got a loud pop.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. Good for him. I've been a fan of his for a long time, so I'm happy to see him here.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get the whole big thing with the major players. So now we get number 30 comes out, and him and
Perfect guy for number 30. But
maybe. And so Jay, I don't remember what number.
Jay was 20. Jay was number 20.
Right. Okay. So he doesn't have any like major spots in the Rumble, but once it's down to the last 4 or 3, actually.
3. Yeah.
So all right, so they do the spot where. So there was some weird thing that we don't really know the whole story about.
Oh, we kind of do now.
Damien. So Drew gets eliminated, but I think they either did it too quickly or something else was going on at the same time.
So we don't have to dive into this long, but they were supposed to. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre are the Mania. That's the Mania program for those gentlemen. Right. They're fighting each other at Mania. That's the direction.
Which I do find honestly a little strange considering Drew's year last year.
But because Damian Priest cashed in on Drew last year at Mania.
Yeah, but
there's a story there. That makes sense.
But Drew has not referenced Damian Priest since like SummerSlam.
That's fair.
So why now all of a sudden?
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I mean,
okay, I guess it wouldn't be all of a sudden because he eliminates him.
He eliminates him, and then they can lean into, I had a WrestleMania moment last year, and you cashed in and ruined it for me, and blah, blah, blah. They can lean into kind of. But I guess what happened was Drew's elimination was supposed to be a big deal. Like, it was supposed to be, oh, shit, Drew's out, and they were supposed to have a moment that kind of started the whatever. And then there was a report that came out that said Drew was pissed because somebody in the ring had to get their shit in and ruin that moment. Because the elimination of Drew very much felt like an afterthought. It was very quick, and it was just like, but I think it was supposed to be a much bigger thing. And I think just because of how we all feel about the person who was number 30 as a person, everybody automatically thought it was Logan Paul. Everyone was like, oh, it was Logan Paul. It was not Logan Paul. It was LA Knight. LA Knight was the guy that Drew was pissed about. And apparently there were other wrestlers that were also not thrilled about Mr. Knight getting his stuff in and messing up other spots. Now, there was a report that came out. Nobody's upset with LA. Everything's cool now. He doesn't have any heat or any of that crap. It's not anything like that. But in the moment, Drew was the most vocal one about it. But in that moment, what I heard was there were multiple people in the men's Rumble that were not thrilled, and LA Knight was going into business for himself in that Rumble. So that was what I was told that was about. So that was one thing. Then we have the moment where CM Punk eliminates both Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns.
And what was really cool about this, and now I understand the story behind this because they play into it after they all get eliminated.
Yeah.
They do the front and the back spot with Roman in the background and Seth realizing that he and Roman are really like the only ones up and about to fight each other in the ring. And so they do a little scuffle, and then they're about to, I think it's Roman is trying to get Seth over the rope, and then Punk, you see him in the background.
Oh, he's looking.
Like, ooh, I can do something good here. Grabs both of them, flips them over, so they're both eliminated. And now it's just Punk, Logan, Jay, and Cena. There was, I don't know if you saw this, so yesterday I retweeted it because it literally made me cry laughing. I was laughing so hard. So Punk eliminates Roman and Seth.
Yeah.
There's a guy who was streaming this, watching it live. When that happens, he's wearing a CM Punk hoodie, and he's like, yeah, Punk's winning now.
I saw this one, yeah.
And then he looks away for a moment as he's celebrating. He's like, yeah, Punk's winning now.
And Logan Paul dumped Punk out.
Logan Paul dumped Punk.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he screams so loud that his microphone.
I think I saw that one.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
That surprised me. I did 100%. Not expect Logan Paul to eliminate CM Punk.
Yeah,
See, I thought
agree.
that there was going to be a little bit between Punk and Cena.
I think they're saving that for the Chamber, man.
So I think now they're the only two that we know now for sure are going to be in the Chamber.
I think they're the final two of the Chamber, Punk and Cena. I think they're the final two.
Oh, that would make sense.
If they're the final two, and you get like a little mini one-on-one match with Punk and Cena, oh man, that crowd's going to be going.
Or
bananas.
they're the first two.
I originally thought them being the first two would be cool, but I think them being the final two, when they both are looking for that WrestleMania main event, and Punk, that's his whole crux of his character, and coming back is to main event WrestleMania, and Cena needs to win the title, and they're the last two, and only one of them. Oh, baby. I think that would be, again, we still have to find out who the other four gentlemen in the, I think they're going to load that Chamber just like they loaded this Rumble, Drew.
Oh,
I think it's going to be Seth. It's not, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Roman. I think it's going to be Seth. I think it's going to be Drew. They're going to load it up, and I think Roman is not going to be in the Chamber, but I think Roman is going to be the reason that Seth does not win the Chamber. And then
it definitely so Seth,
let's talk about the Rumble and the winner of the Rumble, and then that'll tie into the beginning of Raw, and then we can fly through, like we can
Seth and Roman get eliminated, then Punk gets eliminated, and then they all just start like
that double stomp. So, Rollins did a double
nasty.
foot stomp
nasty
on Roman. That was wild. And then he just starts brawling with Punk, and then the Heyman factor. This whole thing was just so well done on the outside here. It was so good. It was so
and then you've come to the realization that it's Logan Paul, John Cena, and Jey Uso left in the ring. And it's like, what
Cena's winning. And everybody thought the same thing. Well, Cena's winning.
Yep.
This is Cena.
Then Logan Paul gets dumped.
Yep.
And everyone goes, well, we all know now.
Well,
it's
Cena. In that moment, when it was the final two, in my brain, I was like, man, good for Jey Uso. Good for Jey Uso. Final two with Cena. Like, well earned. This guy has gotten himself over so much. The crowd loves him. Like, good for this guy to be in the final two. And then obviously,
I even said at one point, I was like, God, could you imagine they gave this win to Jey Uso? That would be insane.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Jey Uso, yeet. Jey Uso eliminates Cena, wins the Royal Rumble to the shock of everybody.
Everyone.
Nobody picked Jey Uso. And if you picked Jey Uso, you're a liar. Nobody picked Jey Uso. Or almost nobody. I'm sure there's a couple people out there, but nobody picked Jey Uso to win this Royal Rumble. They do that. The crowd is going nuts. Everybody in the press box was like, shocked. And they do that. And then Cena gets back in the ring. They have a great little moment where Cena gives him a hug, kind of puts him over, points to the sign. They give Jey that moment with the crowd just yeeting 70,000+ people and his son. Just a great moment. And then, we're not going to dive into it too much, but you get all these nerds on the internet. They just never. Okay. So for me,
I know. Go ahead.
For me, it's one of those things where I look at this and I go, since when is it a bad thing that the company goes, you know what? We're going to go with the most over guy. We're just going to go with the most over guy. We're picking the most over guy. Jey sells the top merch. The crowd loves him. His entrance is the most over thing we have in the company. He is arguably the most well-liked babyface in the company. We're going to go with him. Do you remember 12 years ago, 15 years ago at this point, whatever, 13 years ago, when the whole crowd wanted Daniel Bryan to win the Royal Rumble? And they went out of their way to not give that to us? And how we all reacted? And we basically had to force their hand to get Daniel Bryan in the main event of WrestleMania. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And then they actually do the thing that the majority of the crowd wanted on Saturday by giving the people who love Jey Uso, most people, a Jey Uso win. And everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are like, what do you want? What do you want? Honestly, like, can you just never be happy?
I was very upset about that.
It's
I was very upset about
ridiculous.
that.
It is
Because
ridiculous.
and I did like a long tweet about it too, because people talk about you deserve it for like every single person that wins most of the important matches.
Does
You
anybody deserve
deserve,
it
like,
more
they
than
get the
him?
you deserve a chance
Yeah,
for everything these days.
yeah,
It's kind of
100.
like,
And
it's like the what chance at this
and
point.
he
It's so
got him right
stupid.
at he got him right at the beginning of Raw last night too. Like,
But the thing is that Jey Uso is the definition of you deserve it.
literally.
Like, that's the guy that should be getting you deserve a chance,
Yeah, he
because he has worked
organically.
his
Yeah,
ass off.
and they didn't shove him down our throats. He organically got over to this
I
moment.
would
Like they didn't
imagine
shove him down our throats like they've done other people. The crowd just stuck to him, and they love him. And it's just, yeah,
there
I
was a
don't get.
point in time where Jey Uso would have gone the way of Ron Simmons and just been the comedy yeet character.
Mhm.
Like, Ron Simmons was the comedy damn character
Yep.
for a long time. He would have just been trotted out to do yeet for the crowd, get the crowd reaction, and just be left in catering for months, because that's how it used to be with certain people.
Yeah.
And even now, because Jey is one of the more shocking winners in recent memory, all of the people, though I'd say even the final 4 people, aside from Logan Paul, they're all going to be involved in WrestleMania in major capacities,
Of course.
regardless of not winning the Rumble.
Mhm.
But if Jey didn't win the Rumble, he potentially wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Because even though he is just as over as Roman, Cena, Seth, Punk right now, a top merch seller, some of the loudest pops weekly, he potentially wouldn't have had a moment at
100%.
WrestleMania the
Yeah.
way that all those other people are going to have moments. So him winning the Rumble is a pivotal moment for him, and guarantees now that he gets that moment, just like they're all going to get their moment.
Yeah. And I like being surprised. I like things going a different way than I expected. And I loved Jey winning. It was not what I picked. I thought Punk was going to win. I thought it was Cena or
So
Punk.
did I.
I thought it was Cena or Punk. And I had picked Cena this whole time, but I was kind of leaning Punk going into the match. I was like, I think Punk might win. And Jey was out of nowhere, and I had no problem with it. I think it is deserved. And I just think about all the times.
A million percent deserved.
Yeah,
a
and
million percent.
I just think of all the, and I get it. Yeah, go ahead.
Ever since the absolutely unreal entrance last year
in France.
Yeah.
It's a different level.
He has had a lightning bolt strapped to him, not by the company, but by the fans.
Correct. And when you think about all the times that the old regime would see who the fans wanted and they would go, fuck you. Fuck you. I don't care about who you want. It's what I want. So fuck you. And they would think about how many times in your wrestling fandom that happened. Kofi Mania, Daniel Bryan. There's obviously those are the 2 more recent. But think about how many times even you could go as far as Rusev Day. Remember how over Rusev was?
Yeah.
What'd they do with him?
Zack Ryder.
Jack shit. Zack Ryder. You think about all these people that the crowd has organically clung to over the last 20 years. And the person in charge said, well, that's not my plan, so I don't give a fuck what you guys want. And now we have people running the show who maybe this is a one-time thing. I doubt it. But now we have people who run the program who go, you know what? The crowd fucking love this guy. So guess what? We're going with the guy the crowd loves. And now we're all bitching about that. What the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? It is unbelievable to me. It's just ridiculous.
And last night, he gets to open the show.
Oh, that amazing.
And
crowd wouldn't let him even start the promo.
It's
not about that, Fernando. It's not about that. That you looking at it that way is just a negative, wrong way to look at it.
What did he say?
He goes, Jay is not anywhere near Daniel Bryan's league. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that
because okay,
it's just the wrong mentality.
Right? Yeah, that's the thing.
The wrong mentality.
CM Punk, Roman, Sami, Seth, Cena, Drew were all in this Rumble. Yeah. They all deserve to win.
Of course,
they're all Cena and Punk. Those just take those two aside from the other names I mentioned.
Yeah,
those are major players in WWE right now, in wrestling as a whole right now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can go, Jey Uso deserves this win.
Of course. It's just one of those things to me where I just don't understand. And I even said something about it yesterday. I was like, I don't care if you wanted him to win or not, but if you're not happy for that guy, I don't know what to tell you. And then when we see what happened on Raw last night, he gets that entrance that we're used to him having, that banger entrance. And that went on for 12 minutes. And it was to the point where he was trying to start the promo and the crowd wouldn't let him. And they turned the music back on.
Yeah,
because the crowd was like, we're not done, dude. The crowd was just singing the song when the song ended, and and WWE was like, fuck it, turn it back on. And they just let it keep 12 minutes. And I tweeted and I go, tell me again that guy didn't deserve or shouldn't have won the Royal. Tell me again that he was
so emotional that he couldn't even speak.
It's ridiculous. Again, it's fine if you didn't want him to win. If you rooted for other guys, that's fine. But to sit there and say that the Rumble sucked or it's bullshit or this guy didn't deserve the Rumble, you are wrong. You are wrong. You are wrong. Period. End of story. Look what happened at the beginning of Raw last night and tell me that you still believe that. You're wrong. You're entitled to your opinion, and I respect the fact that you are entitled to your opinion, but you are wrong. Sorry. You're wrong.
I can't remember the last time I felt the realism that I felt when watching somebody alone with a microphone in the middle of a ring talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he cried. He was emotional. He couldn't even, like you said, he couldn't even do the promo because he was so emotional. And then he finally, after a few minutes, took a deep breath and got into it. And he talked about his family. He talked about the support from the fans. And he got emotional and he was crying and he was teary-eyed. And it was a great moment. And in that moment, I was like, tell me that this guy, all those, what are you talking about? And I saw Queen of the Ring. She was like, this is why you should never listen to Twitter. Twitter is not real. Twitter is not real.
That's a fact.
It's just not real. And I was
just
made me
cry. I watched that promo and I cried. And then I watched it again this morning and I cried again because
it's just,
so when he left SmackDown and was leaving WWE and then Cody got him drafted to Raw 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, whenever it was. And he came out and his music got changed because they were doing the Down Since Day One-ish thing for when it was the Usos. And that was his music until he was on his own. And then his theme song starts and it's like, it's just me, Us. Day One-ish, just me, Us. And I'm like, this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
I hated it. At first.
Mm-hmm.
I think I may have even told you. I don't remember if I told you because we weren't doing Firmly WWE yet.
No, at that point, no.
But I was like, this sounds awful. I hate this. And I hated it for a while. And then organically,
Yeah.
I start hearing it more. I then show up to SmackDown in Philly, the WrestleMania weekend. He's on the show. His music hits. I'm like, oh, you know what? Actually, this is okay. I can see, I as before that moment, I was watching it more weekly. It's like, okay, it's got the same rhythm of
Mhm.
the original Usos music. They
Yep.
just changed the lyrics a little bit. It's like, oh, you know what? Okay, it's not that bad. I'm starting to get into it. Then when I was
Mhm.
there in the building and the song played and everyone's doing this, I was like, oh wow, this is different.
Mhm.
And from that day on, I was like, okay, you know what? I said, I am never. And Sunday Sinner, I don't know if he's in the if he's been in the chat at all.
He has not been yet, no.
Because I went to that SmackDown with him, and I said to him there, I was like, because that was when they were doing WWE World, which, by the
Mhm.
way, if you are going to WrestleMania, you must go to WWE World. It is incredible. It is incredible. I cannot say higher things about it. It is just, you gotta go. Just go. Okay. They had the huge WrestleMania Superstore there. It was the biggest friggin' it looked like, you're in like a major shopping center. It's so big and so many items there. And they had all the Jey Uso merch, and it all says Yeet and main event, whatever. And I turned to Sunday Center and I was like, okay, listen, I'm into Jey Uso right now, and this is all cool. I am never buying a shirt that says Yeet.
Well, guess what? Yeah.
Look at me now. And
Yeah,
that's because I've really fallen in love with this guy. In a legitimate, like, I've just his aura, his charisma, the way he carries himself, he's funny, he can talk. The crowds are just behind him organically in a way that we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
In WWE.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm all in. And I'm so happy that he won, because he
and guess what?
friggin' deserves it.
And guess what, guys? He's gonna win the championship at WrestleMania. He's winning the
And I
World
can't
Championship
fucking
at
wait.
WrestleMania.
I
That is
cannot
happening.
fucking wait.
That is happening. So you guys can, I think the people in our chat really aren't those people, but those people can go cry about it more when that happens. Because guess what? It's happening, guys. And guess what? At WrestleMania, there's probably going to be 85,000 people yeeting their asses off when he wins that championship. So it is what it is. But we gotta get to some, because I thought Raw had a lot of good stuff on it last night there, and we haven't talked about it at all. Well, a little bit, but so Jay starts the show, he does his promo, and Gunther comes out, and Gunther kills it in this heel promo. He's just the perfect heel. And he says, I saw you win the Rumble. I was like, don't pick me. He's like, I have a legacy. You don't have a legacy. He goes, beating Roman Reigns, beating CM Punk, beating John Cena at WrestleMania, that would help my legacy. He goes, beating you, that does nothing for my legacy. Which I thought was unreal.
This is a phenomenal promo from him.
Yeah. And then he's, he basically shoots down Jay some more. You're just a tag team guy, blah, 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 blah. He goes to leave. And then Jey Uso, to end the promo, kind of leans back into that. Yeah, people have been saying I've been a certain thing my whole life. I was just a twin. Then I was just a tag team guy. Could never be a main eventer. Well, guess what? I'm walking into, he goes, no matter who I pick, because Jey Uso also said he's going to show up to SmackDown on Friday and talk to Cody.
Yes.
So that's going to happen. So he didn't pick anybody. But he said, whether I pick you or whether I pick Cody, I'm showing up to WrestleMania as main event Jey Uso, and I'm leaving as champion. Yeet. And that was that. So I do think he picks Gunther, obviously. But yeah, We had the Charlotte stuff with Rio, which we kind of discussed. Penta, once again on Raw, has an
This was a
excellent
fun
match.
match. I really
Oh,
like this.
so good. Him and Kaiser's wonderful too.
Yeah,
Like
I
just
didn't. They really
wonderful.
were nice. They blended really well together. I thought this
Yeah.
was a really good match. And then of course
So
Pete Dunne
well, they
being
did
Pete
the little
Dunne.
thing. Yeah, I want to see where they're going with that because Pete Dunne lost to Penta a couple weeks ago, and he came out at the end, and then Kaiser ended up attacking Penta after. So Penta gets the win, and then Pete Dunne comes out, and they have a little confrontation, him and Penta, and Kaiser attacks Penta from behind and hits him with the spike DDT there. So I don't know if they're going triple threat route or maybe Pete Dunne might be coming friendly with Imperium, maybe, or Kaiser, or if they lean into, I don't know what they're going to go there, but I'm interested in those three guys together because that's going to be absolutely fire if they do anything with those three guys. The New Day had new music,
which
new
I actually
gear.
didn't hate. I didn't hate it
either. I didn't hate it either. I liked kind of the Mortal Kombat looking graphics they had with the eyes and stuff for them, like in the background and stuff. I liked the new
the dark
gear.
unicorns.
Yeah, I liked the new gear. I liked the colors of the new gear and stuff like that. They had a very fun tag match with Ray and Dragon Lee. I thought that was very cool. Logan Paul was, are they going Logan Paul and Rey Mysterio? Is that going to be? Oh, no, because they're fighting next week in the qualifying match. That's why they did that. I think it's going to be Logan Paul and AJ Styles at Mania. I feel like that's the way they're going from everything we saw there. But so Logan Paul got involved, blah, 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 blah. But that was fun. Iyo Sky and Liv Morgan had a great match, a great qualifying match, in which we saw. So Raquel Rodriguez was at ringside. She got involved 2 or 3 times, and that. So earlier in the night, Rhea Ripley was walking by Iyo, and Iyo said, "Maybe."
All done very well.
That was great. And Iyo says, "Maybe I'll see you at WrestleMania." And as Io's getting ready to leave, or Rhea kind of leaves, and Liv Morgan and Raquel attack Iyo, Rhea comes back and chases them off. Then we have the match, and Raquel started to get involved a few times. So Rhea comes out, attacks Raquel. Liv, then the ref's kind of dealing with Iyo. Liv then grabs Rhea, and Rhea turns around and punches Liv. The ref sees Rhea punch Liv. Iyo gets disqualified. Liv wins. Liv is in the chamber. And then after the match, we see Iyo frustrated. She kind of spins around Rhea, like yelling, like, "What the hell? You just..." And Rhea's like, I was coming to help you. I'm sorry. And Io's like, "No." And she just kind of leaves, yelling in Japanese, like very upset. Very well done. Very, very well done. I still think it's going to be Rhea and Iyo at Mania. I think that's the match for Rhea is Iyo. I don't know if they'll do like a last chance with all the losers for the 6th spot or something like that.
They can't do Liv again, right? I mean, that's going to be...
It can't be. It's got to be. I think it's Iyo. They've been teasing it for like a month and a half. Before Saturday night's main event, they were teasing it when they both were holding up the belt while Rhea was still going after it. They ended that Raw with Iyo and Rhea holding the title and looking at each other. They've been teasing. I think that's the match. I think they'll do a last chance match with like a, fatal 5-way with all the losers from the qualifying match, like last chance. And I think maybe Iyo gets in that way. But we also found out that AJ Styles, this was a very cool segment. AJ Styles is now an official member of the Monday Night Raw brand. And then we saw, as Adam Pearce was making this announcement, we saw Braun Breaker walk into the ring, and he kind of talked some crap about AJ Styles. And then he said, "All right, cool." He goes, "Well, can we talk? Because as you're doing all this stuff, you haven't really been focused on me. And you really haven't been focused on the IC title." And he was very frustrated. And I like that because I as a fan, have also been feeling that way about Braun Breaker. He needs to be on TV every week because that guy is the guy. He's one of the guys that you have. Yeah. I very much like that segment. If you're telling me that maybe somewhere down the line we're getting Braun Breaker and AJ Styles, put it in my veins. Put it in my veins. And then we had, as we get to like kind of, so the main event of the evening, which was announced earlier in the day, is Sami Zayn versus CM Punk. Oh boy. When they announced that match, I was like, "Oh, okay." Well.
A legitimate and rare these days first-time matchup in WWE.
Yes. Yeah. And so before this match, though, Seth Rollins comes out in this fucking outfit that Seth was wearing last night.
It was a leather shower curtain.
It was like Cowboy Undertaker. It was like Cowboy. It was unbelievable. The hat.
Actually, it was. I think I wouldn't say Cowboy Undertaker. I would say Cowboy Zoolander.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's fair. That's a good one. That's a good way to put it. So he comes out. I'm not really sure what this promo was really about, really. Like, he talked about Punk and Roman, but then he kind of called Sami out, and he was like kind of being over the top, cheering for. I thought he was going to turn. That was kind of the vibe I was getting. I was like, is he being too over the top with Sami that he's going to cost him the match or something weird? I do think we are going to see they're getting towards heels. I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
We are getting a character change for Seth sooner than later. I think him wearing the all black and kind of the way he was acting last night.
I still want Drew, Seth, and Kevin Owens as like an anti OG bloodline statement.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be incredible.
I'd be okay with that. And then we got this main event, and this match between Sami and Punk was incredible. What a main event! What a match! Netflix, get your shit together. But it was real bad. Towards the end of this match it was bad all night, but the end of this match was very hampered by Netflix and whatever was going on there. But this match was excellent. Drew.
What I found kind of funny though was because I noticed that it feels like every time the camera was either on Punk or zooming in on Punk, the stream would start fucking up.
It was brutal. It was so bad.
Is this like being done? Then I was like, oh wait, the Wyatt Six are not.
No,
they're in. They're on SmackDown, so that's not the thing. But I was just like, what? Why is it so coincidental? For some reason, every time the camera's on Punk, it starts like malfunctioning. I thought this was a shoot fight at first. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well, I think they played it off that way.
These two were potatoing each other real hard.
This is really
pretty much the entire match.
Yeah. This was really good. And I loved Punk, even though he's clearly a babyface. I loved Punk was playing the heel in this match, and he was leaning into. I know the crowd's going to be rooting for Sami, so I'm going to kind of be, and it just worked, and it was really good. Like you said, they were really going at it. At times, it felt like. It was really, really good
for most of the match. It really legitimately felt like they were fighting each other.
Yeah, and if you could, in the midst of the kind of the stream being wonky, the counter from the haluva kick into the GTS to end this match was very, very well done and very, very good. CM Punk wins. He is in the chamber. And afterwards, him and Sami are kind of jaw-jacking with each other, but Punk puts his hand out for a sign of respect. And I thought Sami was going to hit him at first. I was like, oh. But Sami shakes his hand, and then Punk turns around to leave. And for a split second, it looked like Sami was thinking about maybe hitting him. But out of nowhere, Kevin Owens shows up, and he's still wearing the Sami Zayn Forever shirt. It's the little things that Owens does as well that make him just the best. But he's still wearing the Sami Zayn Forever shirt. He takes out Sami, which inherently takes out Punk, and then he gives Sami Zayn a package pile driver right in the middle of the ring. And that's how the show goes off the air, with Sami unconscious, out cold, in the middle of the ring, and a black-eyed, injured Kevin Owens looking at his friend as the show goes off the air with another devastating. That package pile driver is the best looking move ever. I think it's just it's just beautiful.
Vicious, brutal.
It's just a beautifully done thing. I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved everything about that main event. The stuff with Owens and Sami. We're clearly going Owens and Sami. Now, do you think they do it in Toronto at Elimination Chamber, or do we think we get this all the way through?
No, I think that's Mania.
It has to be, right?
Yeah.
But my question, so you mentioned Randy Orton earlier in our last few minutes here before we get out of here. My only but my only question is, you would think that when Randy Orton comes back, he's going to go for KO first, clearly.
Right.
So does Randy not come back until after WrestleMania now?
Well, maybe his return now is WrestleMania, which makes me go, well, okay, because I I
You know what I
was
mean?
thinking, oh, it's been a while now since Orton's been on the show, and
Yeah, because
all
that
right, he did a
happened what? That
package
happened
pile driver.
like November-ish, right?
Yeah, I think it was like early November.
It was before
Um,
War Games even. It was before Survivor
yeah,
Series, wasn't it? Yeah. So he's been out for a
so
while.
so I'm like, okay, why is he not like, all right, yeah, it was a package pile driver, and you should sell that for like a month, but it's been like almost 3 months now,
Yeah.
so why is he still not back?
Yeah.
And then I thought he was going to be at the Rumble, and then he wasn't at the Rumble,
Mhm.
so I guess it makes, we had originally thought that Randy was going to come back. There'd be like a really short thing. He'd turn on Cody, and it was
And
going to
then
be
it would be
Randy and
Cody,
Cody at
yes.
Mania.
Yeah.
That's obviously not happening now.
No.
So, or probably was never the plan in the first place. But, you just surmise that, okay, Randy is going to want to get even, but he's also was kind of like teasing a little bit, turning on Cody. So maybe they just decide to befriend each other again, and then he turns on him, and then that's the Mania match. But um, now Sammy got the package pile driver last night, but he's not going to be out for 3 months.
No.
So
No.
I don't know if there was like some sort of scheduling thing, and maybe Randy wanted more time off or something. Maybe he felt like there was like a nagging, issue. He had just really like come back within like 4 or 5 months of being
Mhm.
out for over a year. So
Yep.
maybe it's like a precautionary period to make sure that he's okay, and then he'll come back into Mania.
Maybe.
Because I'm thinking they do this match at WrestleMania, and then Randy returns at WrestleMania to take out Kevin Owens to help Sammy win. That would be my guess. And then KO and Randy have a feud, and then maybe for SummerSlam it ends up being Cody or whoever's the champion at that time,
Yeah.
and
Because they're
Randy.
also, because my thought was I think that KO and Sammy should be at Mania, but they fought at Mania before, one-on-one. So my thought process was, do they do the match in Canada with them being both Canadians, and then
That's only a
WrestleMania?
couple weeks away, though, isn't it?
It's like a month away, March 1st. So we're basically a month. Although
Oh,
February is a shorter month. So like three and a
that
half
is,
weeks. Like
yeah,
three weeks. I think there's 3 more Raws.
yeah,
2 more Raws?
yeah. That's
I don't know.
3 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, do they do it in Canada?" Because they're obviously when like Randy and KO would be a Mania level match, obviously, if they went that route. And they're teasing this Sami Zayn Karrion Cross stuff, which I very much like as well. They're teasing that stuff too, which they had a backstage segment where they kind of got in each other's face, and Cross was like, if you want me to get he goes, I will. Like I can take you out any second that I want. I'm just not, you
yeah.
know.
Something really interesting is going on with Cross
Yeah,
in this
I've
whole
I've
thing.
I've loved what they've been doing with Cross for like the last 6 months. Like I've loved it. And what he does on social media too. It's just I like everything that guy's doing right now. This is how they should have been doing Karrion Cross since he came up to the main roster to begin
Yeah,
with. To
yes.
begin with, is what we're seeing here. But so that's kind of in the background too. So I'm like, do they do Sammy and KO at Canada? The 2 Canadians, even though they're Montreal and it's in Toronto, it doesn't make, but like, do they do it in Canada? And then something happens and we get KO and Randy at Mania, and then maybe they do Sammy and Cross at Mania. Like, I'm just like, how does this, do we get it? I don't know. There's things. Oh, Lou knows. Lou's like, show's almost over, Dad. Let's go. Yep. Here it comes. It's like clockwork. He knows. He knows. Hey, bud.
So yeah, so all in all, I thought for the most part Rumble was great. Raw last night was really great.
Really good.
Yeah, that opener was that tugged at the heartstrings for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I thought there was a
I
great,
thought I was gonna get emotional talking about it again because
yeah.
it was really, really just such a sweet moment for him.
I agree. It was a great opening of the show with Jay and just that entrance and how emotional he was. There was a great main event, great matches throughout the night last night on Raw. The storylines that were told in both Rumble matches leading in to this Chamber and Mania season, we're starting to see everything kind of align a little bit more. I love it. I thought it was a successful few days for WWE. And I'm very excited to kind of see where we go. It looks like we might be getting a triple threat with Roman, Seth, and Punk at Mania, which will be nuts.
I can't wait to see what's going on there.
I think what they're going to do, Drew, and again, we got to get out of here, but we'll have plenty of time to talk about it. I think they're going to actually build it as Roman versus Seth one-on-one. And then I think Punk is going to ask for his favor. And his favor is going to be inserted into that match as a triple threat.
Yeah,
and I think that's how they do it. I think that's how they do it. Or could it just be built as a triple threat? And his favor to Heyman is that Heyman screws over Roman and Punk wins. And then Heyman aligns himself with Punk again. And we get heel Punk the rest of 2025.
Interesting.
But we have plenty of time to talk about that. But
yeah.
Anything else from Raw or the Rumble weekend you wanted to discuss for a minute that we didn't before we get out of here?
We covered everything, I think.
Hell yeah. Good stuff, Drew. Good stuff. All right. Well, Drew and I will be back on Thursday. Yep, they did announce some qualifiers. We're getting Bayley versus Lyra Valkyria next week. We got Logan Paul and Ray next week. Those will be more chamber I assume, unfortunately, Logan Paul is probably getting in that chamber match. But it is what it is. But we'll discuss that when it happens. But Drew and I will be back Thursday morning, 10 a.m. I will officially be back after my 1-week hiatus in Firmly AEW. So we'll be chatting some AEW on Thursday. But Drew, before we get out of here, why don't you do that thing and let people know where they can find you and what you got coming up the rest of the week?
Yes. Follow me right there at the Drew Nicholas Twitter, Blue Sky. Collect super chats and humper chats for Fightful's AEW Collision post show every Saturday nights with Rick Cuesta and Iridian. And you can find me on the Roundtable Pro Wrestling podcast with Thorn in My Side, Sunday Sinner, and a group of wonderful, wonderful gentlemen over there. And follow Firmly LWs. That's our Firmly Love Wrestling Twitter on, as I said, Twitter as well.
Yep. Like I said, you can find me and Drew here every Tuesday and Thursday. You can find me Thursday nights, 8 p.m. with Pluggo, Between Two Beards, the flagship show here at Love Wrestling. I'm sure we'll be talking more about our Rumble escapades and everything that went down in the week of wrestling. And as it was announced yesterday, I will now be joining the team over at bodyslam.net. Cassidy Haynes. Great guy in Cassidy. I will be joining them on Monday nights after Monday Night Raw for their post show. Raw Dogs, they call it. That's right. I'll be joining them every Monday moving forward for the Monday Night Raw post show over at bodyslam.net. So that's a very cool opportunity. I want to thank Cassidy for that. So yeah, I'll be doing that on Mondays after Raw. And then you can follow me at JPJ Loves Gaming on all social media platforms. But be on the lookout this week. We got a bunch of, as you've seen on the ticker below us all week, we got a bunch of stuff happening this week, but we got our interviews coming out this week with Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. Our interview with Penta is already on the Love Wrestling YouTube, so go check that out. Our interview with Penta got picked up by Fightful and SE Scoops and a bunch of places yesterday because we asked them about Braun Breaker and going for the IC title down the line. I think that could be a potential Mania match that we get for the IC title. And things of that nature as well. Yeah, so I know one of them's coming out on Wednesday and one of them's coming out on Friday. I think Tiffany is coming out first, but either way, the full interviews will both be out by the end of the week, but you can kind of go see some Royal Rumble super clips. That's not the right word for it. But we kind of made some videos just about the Royal Rumble from all of them, but you can see the individual interviews by the end of the week. So that's where you can find us here. Thank you everybody for watching, everybody in the chat. We always appreciate you guys. Yeah, Scott, that is right. They did announce that it's going to be Seth versus Finn in a few weeks for the chamber qualifying match as well. That'll be fun. That'll be good. But yeah, Drew and I are going to get out of here. We will see you on Thursday for Firmly AEW. Thank you all. Appreciate every single one of you. And you guys know the drill. Until next time, peace out.